we too still need assistance. We too still need help. And the beauty is recognized. And I think that's the most powerful thing that I try to, relay to people. It's that self-actualization. I'm not okay. There is something happening here, and I know that I'm unable to fix it. I need help.
Welcome, wonderful souls, to Holy Healing Talk with your girl April, founder and CEO of Holy Healing Chronicles. This podcast is a part of our mission to create a safe space for people to express their emotions and heal their hearts. We have amazing things happening, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, join our email list at www.holyhealingchronicles.org. We hope you enjoy the Holy Healing Talk. Today, I have the privilege of sitting with Miss Coach La. This is a divine connection because just when I thought, hey, I'm going to take me a mental break, it was just on my spirit to say, I'm going to reach out to her and ask her, would she be a part of what I'm doing in this podcasting world and share the healing journey that she's been on and how she helps others, right? And it's so ironic when I reached out to you, you were like, how ironic, I was going to reach out to you. So Coach La, tell us a little bit about you and let the people know who you are.
Hi, April. I am so happy to be here and a part of what God is doing for yourself. And it's amazing, even across the seas, because I'm in the UK, that we are on a journey of transformation together. And I truly think this is the time, this is the season that God is bringing out so that we can get the women right, so that they can get their homes, their families right as we go on this journey, because we're truly going to need it over the next couple of years as this world changes. So I am La Cayenne Atterbridge. Most people know me as Coach La. I am a transformation mindset life coach. Most people call me an inner guide, as I truly believe it is your inner self that you need to heal. You need to be able to regenerate those places so that you're picking yourself up off rock bottom. And most people are suffering at this moment. Many women are suffering emotionally and mentally, and they're just looking for that way so that they can heal themselves, take a reset, and be able to transform their lives so that they can go after their dreams and find purpose in what it is that they are destined to do.
Amen. I think now the Holy Spirit just really spoke to me, and I know that this is necessary because I want to share something with you before we get into details of everything we're going to discuss. But last week was a struggle for me because I had a dentist appointment, and when I went to the dentist appointment, they check your blood pressure before they do anything. When I got there, my blood pressure was 165 over 125.
Wow.
And that's high. And so we waited a few minutes, and they wanted to check it again. Overall, they couldn't do the procedure. My body was telling me it's time to take care of you. It's time to really, really focus on you and get yourself together. So I called my daughter, who's a registered nurse, and I said, hey, something's not right. My blood pressure is spiking. And she said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go to urgent care. So at this time, I go to urgent care, it rises some more. It's at 173 over 127, it's getting higher. And I'm just breathing oh my God. So I already know the anxiety is kicking in because I see the numbers going over. They directed me to the emergency room. Did they want me to, they said, do you want me to call an ambulance or will you be able to go? I said, I'll go to the emergency room. It was right across the road. So I went, and my blood pressure spiked to 220.
Wow.
20 over 174. This is the highest I've ever seen it. It was out of control. At this time, it's my anxiety and stuff. So the
Mm-hmm.
next day I had an appointment with my doctor. And when you mentioned mental, I knew that this was necessary, right?
Yes.
Um, I'm not sure how much of my story you know, but I've been
Mm-hmm.
on survival mode for a very long time.
Yeah.
And my spirit, I know God, I'm experiencing God, I'm witnessing his work, he's showing me who I am. Physically, he's conditioning me physically, but internally, my mental is distracting
Mhm.
everything.
Yes.
So this is my confession 101, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it was necessary, so I'm going to do this with you.
Okay.
Um, I was at the doctor, and it was just the emotional roller coaster for me
Mm-hmm.
because I've always tried to make sure everybody else was okay. Still in that survival mode, trying to keep my head above water, still trying to make sure everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't have to do that mentally anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But my mental don't know how to, it's imbalanced. It don't know how to step back.
Yes.
But my spirit, I'm like, come on, God, come on. Like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So at this moment, I was afraid. I was afraid
Yes.
to acknowledge that I needed some help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I work in the healthcare field, so I never was like too keen on medication or things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time, I had to say, I need help. God gave me an answer at that time. A good friend that I go to church with, she said, you have to look at it. This is an answer, not a crutch.
Right.
So at this time, I told my doctor I need something to help balance my mental because
Mm-hmm.
I overthink. I can't rest because I'm thinking constantly about, I'm still in that mode where I gotta, it's like keeping my head above water. And I know God is telling me it's okay, but because I've been doing this for so long, I don't know how to balance it. So my
Yes.
confession is I asked my doctor for some anxiety medication. Like I need a low dose. I need something to help me. I just want to rest this one out. Like, and that's why this week I was like, I'm not doing anything, but I felt guided to do this one. So when you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the mental, it resonated like to my spirit and said, April, now is the time to share. So I wanted to say that to say, people, self-care is very important. It's not just about going to the mall, going shopping, buying all this stuff. It's about taking care of your mental, your emotional, your physical first. And for the first time, I've done that for myself. So, Coach Love, thank you for allowing me to be honest and organic and confess something that I probably wouldn't have said to anyone because it's not always a good feeling to say, hey, I need something, you know?
I
It's
need help.
stigma. It's this stigma like that if in our community, if we take medication, we crazy. If we go to therapy, we're crazy. No, that's self-care. You're giving yourself time to get better, to heal,
Yes.
to be able to be the best you can be. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to share that. And you can let me know your thoughts on it, but let's keep rolling. Keep going, girl.
Listen, you see that?
I do. I do.
That is my blood pressure machine. Just this past week, my blood pressure was high. Not as high as yours, but it was high. 145, um, 110, 120. It was high, right? And I knew I was stressed. And I knew that's just like you. I knew something was going on and all of the thoughts that are happening. Now being in this place that I'm at, it doesn't. One thing that I always try to relate to the women, just because I'm healed doesn't mean I still don't need help.
Amen.
Just because I'm in a place where I may appear that I have it all together, it does not mean that something's not going to trigger me. Just like you, my mind races, right? And as we get into my story, I'll tell you a little bit more. But I understand because I needed to recognize, hold on, something is going on with me and I need a mental break, right? And over the past for a couple of weeks now, I've had to step back from the business, step back from work, and just regroup and get back in touch with one me, but also get back in touch with my purpose with God, right? And the direction in which I was going in. And so, as you spoke just now, as you think that you are saying, you're here for a purpose, I want you to know that I'm here for a purpose too, because you're alerting me and letting me know I'm not alone. You know, my mind, I'm been this superwoman, always having to be in control of every situation in my life, every
Woo!
situation. And I'm beginning to learn, right? Through God, I don't need to act as if I'm Superwoman anymore. I don't need to be out here trying to prove something to anyone or even prove it to myself,
Mhm.
right? And the more that I relinquish that control, I begin to feel more at peace, right? Because the things I'm stressing over, I know I have no control over, but I still want to control it, right? And so I get exactly what you're saying, because and I talk to my friends, and some of them, they do understand, but just hearing you today, it's so, refreshing to know that, we're not alone, and these thoughts that we're having, these emotions that we are feeling, right? Even at this level that we are at in helping other people, we too still need assistance. We too still need help. And the beauty is recognized. And I think that's the most powerful thing that I try to, relay to people. It's that self actualization. I'm not okay. There is something happening here, and I know that I'm unable to fix it. I need help,
Woo!
right? And that is the beauty in being able to call your daughter. Because I know, I don't know if, for yourself, 5, 10 years ago, I would be like, I'm okay, even at the doctor's office, and they're still telling you it's high. Okay, I'll go to the hospital by myself. I don't want to worry anyone. I don't want for them to be so concerned about me, right? And not being able to verbalize in this moment, this is what I'm feeling. In this moment, I need your support. In this moment, I need assistance.
Mhm. That was good. That was good because I was an emotional wreck sitting on that on a doctor's table, and I'm like, my mind just won't stop, and I don't even want to control anything. I'm really like fighting to give it all up. Like I'm sitting in peace. Like I'm not. God has retired me physically from working, but He's
Mm-hmm,
working me
mm-hmm.
spiritually, right?
Yes.
So, and I get that. So I'm in tune with what He's doing, but it's my mind keep the enemy, like my mind just won't rest. So on
Mm-hmm.
that table, I'm just so emotional just to acknowledge I need something to help with this because I'm
Yes.
struggling with doing it by myself. If
Mm-hmm.
I get this one thing together to not think about anything other than this moment right now, I will be good. I will be
Yes.
great. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the endurance for me. So
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go through it so that again I can tell someone it's okay if you say, look, I need something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
use it as an answer, not as a crutch. It's something to
Yes.
help you get better. Chemically
Mm-hmm.
balanced is something good. People have months that they celebrate mental health. Mental
Mm-hmm.
health is every single day. We need to
Yeah.
talk about this all the time because
Mm-hmm.
what causes the mental health? Trauma, some
Yes.
type of trauma. Trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and we all deal with different type of traumas, but trauma causes the mental health. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps you thinking about how to not be in those situations again.
Yes.
How can I do it different moving forward?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make this about mental health because it really, mental health is caused by trauma.
It is, honestly. It totally is. And, a lot of us don't recognize it because we're still in the mess, right?
Yes.
And we're at a point where we're just trying to keep our head above water, right? Especially when you're going through it.
Mhm.
Being at rock bottom, I often tell people that that is the best place that you can be, because it's only up from there if you decide to get up,
Mhm.
right? We would continue to go down. There are women who would be in a situation and you would most likely say with a friend, well, how come they don't wish to choose to leave that particular partner? Or
Mhm.
they're still in a relationship and that they want to get out of that relationship, but they're not at a point of that change happening, right? Or we can use another example. You have a friend that complains constantly about her job over and over again, and you say to her, just leave, right? You can decide to do your resume, you can leave, but she's not at that place yet, right? They have to get to rock bottom. They have to get to a place where they say enough is enough,
Amen.
right? You can give them all the assistance in the world. They have to want it. And that is the best place to be, because at that point, you realize where your strength is and being able to pull yourself up. If you speak to many of us who are in this self-help and coach world, they would tell you their story, and it's come from a place of the depths of them, right? And if you've met someone who hasn't had a story and they don't wish to share with you the depths of what's happened to them, why they transformed, then I think you should maybe go back and ask yourself, why don't they want to share?
Right.
Why
Right.
don't they? Maybe they're not at a place yet where they're being genuine and authentic, right? To be able to assist. And I'm not saying that you're going to be at a place where you can share every single story,
Right.
but you should be, if you're receiving help from someone, it should be that place, that person coming back to you and saying, this is where I'm being. And
Amen.
I know, what it took for me to get out of that.
That's facts. That's why, I have the Holy Healing Talk, but I have a nonprofit organization and it's called
Mm-hmm,
the Holy Healing Chronicles. And it's the same.
mm-hmm,
I'm not set out to be anything other than what God made me be. I'm a servant of Him. And
mm-hmm,
it's my testimony to create a safe place away from social media. Um,
mm-hmm.
where people can release, because sometimes you
Yes.
can't even release, you can't release to your friends, you can't release to your parents, you can't release to your
Mm-hmm.
family. Who can you? And so you need to be in an unbiased place, someone that's
Yes.
not going to judge you, someone that's
Mm-hmm.
probably going through what you're going through, but they just need to hear someone else tell their story and person be like, oh, she did
Yes.
it, I can do it. I just
Mm-hmm.
had a conversation with a young lady the other day, and, I was in a not a toxic relationship. And one of the things she asked me was, why didn't my best friend talk me out of being with this person? Like, not tell me to leave, but set up a game plan with me so that I can be prepared to leave. And I
Right.
had to
Okay.
tell her that that wasn't her job. Her
Mm-hmm.
job for me was just to be there for me. And when I
Yes.
was ready,
Mm-hmm.
when and she did, my best friend did such a wonderful job. She never spoke ill of him, never said
Mm-hmm.
anything nasty. She just let me be.
Yes.
One of her things was, you can never tell someone to leave someone that they love. That's the
Mm-hmm.
hardest thing.
Yep.
It's that rock bottom. But when I
Mm-hmm.
guess what? She was there and it made our friendship even more stronger because she was that
Yes.
support I needed when I transition. So I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
totally agree with what you're saying. Like, rock bottom is real. Rock bottom can be scary for some. Some
Yep.
people can't even endure the rock bottom, and then it
Mm-hmm.
leads to suicide. So
Yep.
that's why it's you. I love what you do. I've read about what you do. And even
Mm-hmm.
with Holy Healing Chronicles, it's a place for everybody want to release. It's a place where you can go where I'm sure someone has been through what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Just open to listen so that you can feel more comfortable to learn how to be vulnerable, you know?
Yes. One of the most amazing growing points for me was knowing that someone else is going through what I'm going through.
It always will.
Because just like you, in my situation, my child's father, that relationship as I was moving out of it, it was tumultuous,
Mm,
right? It turned into a domestic violence situation. And whilst I've done my own healing and look back at some of the things that I could have changed throughout that process, right? I also look back and I can say, just like you know, there's someone else that was going through that, and there's someone that's going through it now. And if I can just give you a little bit of hope,
mm,
give you just a little bit of glimmer of what it can be like if you decide that you're going to choose yourself today for
mm.
once, that you can see the other side, like, wow, she did it and I can do it too. Right. And that's one of the reasons totally why I wanted to go back, go back and help other women who are going through the chantras just like me. My story isn't, that silver spoon. My story isn't about that glass there trying to go up that, case there. But I've overcome. I
I
have overcome. Mm-hmm.
I see. I read about, from your molestation, domestic violence, sexual abuse. Can I ask a question? Um, do you still have a relationship with your child's father?
So relationship with him, absolutely, actually. Now, in the beginning, I'll say we were friends first, right? Absolutely best friends. He helped me through many different situations. And in this particular situation, he wasn't a bad person. He was a person going through a bad situation. I say that to say, in a span of a year, he lost three people. He lost his mom, his dad, and his granny in a span of maybe 18 months. He lost three people, and we were breaking up as well. And so, in essence, he was losing a fourth person in regards to that. And when I reflect back, of course, reflection is important. So this is why I could talk about it in the way that I'm speaking about it now. If you spoke to me about it when it was happening 10 years ago, I wouldn't have the same story. I was very angry. I was very angry. Like, how could you do this to me? How could I be in this position? Right? We both used to be police officers at a very young age. So, how was it that both of us, as police officers, are now in this situation? However, as I reflected, I had to realize that one, I played a part in it because I was a toxic woman in the beginning part of our relationship. Okay. I was very toxic. I didn't know what love was. I didn't have a loving relationship from my mother. My mother abandoned me when I was 6 years old. She left me with my maternal grandmother to take care of me. She didn't say that she was going to leave forever. She just said that she was going on a vacation and that she was going to come back.
Wow.
So I felt that rejection at a very young age, being abandoned by my mother. At the time, my father was not involved in my life because he was in and out of prison because he was addicted to drugs. Right. And so as I moved into my teenage years, my maternal granny got sick. My father had married. And so I was thrown into his family, right, in my teen years. And they had children as well. So I was there as the older child helping out. And where do I fit in? Right? My father was very angry. He was a very angry man at the time, and also was still using drugs, right? Now, my mother's family didn't know that he was still using drugs because the outside image was so perfect, right? But living there throughout my teenage years, the amount of trauma that occurred during that particular time, I was fighting for my life, right? And I was fighting for any little ounce of love and attention, right? I wasn't truly getting it from my stepmother, although we have a beautiful relationship now. But what it looked like as a teen, she's a young woman taking me in, and she doesn't know anything about me, right? And that was a dynamic in itself where I was fighting for that love, fighting for attention. Look at me, I'm here, pay attention to me. And I truly was living in my teenage years in a situation where at the time I just thought this was regular life,
Mm-hmm.
right? How would I know it was anything different, because this is what my life was. I had a father who was perfect Monday to Friday. Friday would come and he was on drugs for the whole weekend. And exactly, right? So, my household at that particular time was very tumultuous, and I didn't have a healthy relationship with a man in my life. Okay. And so, my grandmother didn't have a man in her life, right? So she was just raising us grandchildren, move into this house. So finally, there's a man, and Lord, look what I've come into. And
Mm-hmm.
so when he came into my life, he came as my best friend, and I realized I put that trauma and brought the trauma into that relationship,
Trauma
right?
doctor. I talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's trauma. You need someone to release the trauma onto so that they can feel what you
Yes.
feel, but not knowing that they got their own trauma. So this ain't gonna last anyway. You gonna hear each other. It's gonna start off so good.
Yep.
You can relate to each other, but then you're
Yes.
looking for the same thing, some love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And tell you, looking for that love, both of us, like you said, he came with his own bit of trauma, and there I am coming with mine, and expecting healing, expecting you to put me back together, expecting to feel whole, right? One, from someone who's 22, 23, what expectation am I putting on this young person, right? But also putting on me, also putting on me, because I was nowhere near healed. And then throw a baby in the mix, right? A baby that I could not abort because medically I had just had fibroid surgery.
Mm,
I had fibroids, and they always said, oh, you wouldn't have children and so forth. So it was no big deal to me because I had these fibroids, but I had gotten them removed because they were causing issues, right?
mm.
So little old me, 22 years old, has these fibroids removed. And I find out less than 2 weeks after the surgery that I'm pregnant.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's just like,
That's a
there's
miracle,
nothing.
baby. That was a
She's,
you were supposed to have
I
that
was,
get it right on time.
amen,
Right
amen.
on time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because God said she's coming. There's nothing you can do about it.
Uh,
She is, but she was what I needed. And I just want to step there to say that everything that I've gone through, I can sit here and I can say, woe is me, or I can use it to say, how am I going to turn that into my purpose? And that is one of the things I talk about life story. It is your perception about what you've been through. You get to rewrite the narrative. You get to put it into a way that it becomes empowering for yourself. It becomes to a point when someone hears it, it's like, okay, wow, that's what you've been through, but they can take the glorious parts of that. Even though you suffered, they can find some hope within the story. And that's one of the things that I do teach is the life story. It is your perception. And each time you say, woe is me, you give that power away to someone else instead of you taking your power and say, yes, this is what I've been through, but it does not define who I am and where I'm trying to go.
That that just, it's so aligned. I tell you, this is good because that's my thing. One thing
Mm-hmm.
about trauma and transitioning and going on your healing journey, three things that I do. And well, it's actually four. I have to first acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to acknowledge, because if I not acknowledge what has been done, now I can, okay, hold myself accountable in a place where some things was not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Some things I didn't have control over.
Yes.
Something, that's where I hold myself accountable and don't point the finger. See, in my accountability state and acknowledgement, I X out the other person because I
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
fix the other person. I
Yep.
can change the other person. Now, when I was
Mm-hmm.
in the world and I was trying to, I
Mm-hmm.
had, like you just said, expectation. I had expectation for people when I didn't even have expectation for
Of
myself.
myself.
So my thing was, I'm gonna hold me accountable. When I hold
Mm-hmm.
me accountable, I'm not gonna talk about the other person. I'm
Yep.
gonna mention the situation, but where I stood in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in my hurt, I had to acknowledge my hurt. See, when I wrote my book,
Yep.
so many people said, April, how did you write a book without mentioning anyone's name?
Mm-hmm.
Because that
Mm-hmm.
was just for me. It
Mm-hmm.
was my story. It was my hurt. It was my pain. It was my release.
Yes.
So when I released it and I wrote this book, now I told the situations and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
circumstances, but I didn't mention one person name except for my
Mm-hmm.
best friend, a good friend that was trans. She was like the transparent queen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was my release. So when I
Yes.
wrote this book, right, it's selling, but then I'm like, God, you made me write this for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Me. It wasn't really supposed to be a book to be sold. I wrote it
Yes.
for me, but I held
Mm-hmm.
myself accountable in there. I acknowledged, but then I started to cope. I learned my coping
Yes.
mechanisms,
Mm-hmm.
not letting my triggers control me anymore. So what
Mm-hmm.
do I do? If that means I had to remove people that I love away for a moment, I got to do that for me. And then
Yes.
once I like figure out the coping, now I can let it go and start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
What am
Yes.
I holding on to?
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledged it. I held me accountable. I came up with God showed me a way to deal with it so that it don't disturb my peace. So now I can let it go.
Yes.
So in Holy Healing Chronicles, that's what I advise women to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's healing is gonna look different. Everybody's steps is gonna look
Yep.
different. But eventually the whole purpose of it is finding your purpose through your pain and
Yes.
knowing that you can overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
just love how you just like, it's when I say divine connection, divine connection. When I first held a conversation with you, it was good, good. But you are good, good. Like, what do you do now? Like, I know that you talked about being a police officer in the past, and you are a coach. Like, do you
Yes.
have an establishment over there in the UK where people can contact you and stuff like that?
Absolutely. My journey from being a police officer, so I left police so that I
Mm,
can raise my child. And I've been in the insurance industry for over 20 years, right? Over 20 years. Because I realized being abandoned from my mother, I wanted to raise my daughter, right? And that's why we speak about that divine. I knew my life was changing and I needed to put into her.
mhm.
But just like we discussed at the beginning of this, that anxiety, I had an episode of anxiety and depression. I remembered I was at my daughter's school and I could not breathe. My heart was racing so heavy. I literally left her and went to the hospital, drove myself straight to the hospital, thought I was having a heart attack, but I suffered years from anxiety. And every
Mm,
so often, I have a bout of it. But I suffered years from anxiety. I would have to chew gum. I would have to use it so that I can concentrate on the chewing of the gum and count numbers, right? Because I was trying to focus in on the now, right? And that was one of the ways that I coped and was able to handle it. I say all of that to say that it had came to a point in my life where I said enough is enough.
wow.
Me going to work every single day, typing in, putting in the numbers and doing what I needed to do, and I had a very high paying job. It was not feeding my soul. Every single day feeling like I know it's more. I know I'm supposed to be doing something different and I have to get out of this, right? That's when I relocated. I packed up my daughter and said I'm going back to school and relocated to the UK. I was scared. Although I knew it was what I wanted to do, I had to go in steps. And I immediately did not enroll into university because God was saying, you need to do counseling, you need to do coaching, you need to do counseling. And I was giving him all the pushback that I possibly could give, right? But when you're walking in your purpose, everything falls to in alignment with what you were supposed to be going after, right? So I came over here, my university is paid for. I came over here, there was a house already aligned for me. The business that I was working for in Bermuda allowed me to work while I was over here, right? And so it took me on a journey to that place where I was like, okay, I have to go to school. There's nothing else I can do but go to school because everything is falling into place for me to do that. So when you ask me what it is that I'm doing now and where I am in my life, I'm doing my purpose, right? Yes, I work part-time in insurance, but I'm a full-time student, going back to school in my last year, expecting to graduate in July of 2024, studying criminology and counseling. And I really, truly wanted to study criminology and counseling because there are women who are dealing with either the incarcerated child's father, they're dealing with the system and they don't know how to navigate that, right? And I truly believe that if we can get to a place where we are able to help the women, empower them so that they are non-reliant on the different factors. Maybe they're relying on the government to assist them. Maybe they're relying on this child's father, right? How do we empower them, get them to a place where they feel like they can transform their lives so that they can transform the lives of their children? So that's ultimately what I went back to school to do. But during that process, God took me on this journey of becoming a coach.
Mm,
And it has blossomed into where it is now. My business started with the Inner Bridge Solutions, which is my one-to-one coaching program that I have. And I truly wanted to help women who were at all points. I found in the coaching industry, there are many high ticket offers that people are putting out there. But what happens to that woman that says, I can only afford this amount, or I'm only able to, assist this. I've been there where I wanted the assistance from someone, but I couldn't afford it. It wasn't the urgent need at that particular time because I was trying to put food on the table, or I was just trying to make sure that my bills were paid, right? And so that's what led me to the Inner Bloom coaching app. Is an app where I've put my courses on there, but also they are at an affordable price so that women who, and some of them are free, so women can be reached at all aspects. I truly believe it is important that we go back and put our hand out to help those, because they would then in turn be at a position just like you and me.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm doing the same in my nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
I've been prideful over my life. I've never really had to ask anyone for anything, but like I'm encouraging people to donate to Holy Healing Chronicles because mine is completely free. It's I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on more grants and things like that, like so the government can fund where these people can have a place to come. We can do groups, um,
Mm-hmm.
do retreats, take them places out of their norm so they can experience
Yes.
a sense of peace somewhere, do fundraising. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll let everyone know at the end of this that they can visit my website, and I encourage people to donate because it's so many people that needs it, that can't afford it. One of the things over here in the United States that, and I'm in Texas, it really
Okay.
bothers me. I go to urgent care, and when I went to urgent care last Thursday, I signed in, and she's like, "Okay, co-payment $45." I was like, "Okay," I paid the $45. But something just told me. I looked at my daughter. I said, "I wonder if I didn't have the $45, would they turn me away?" So I went back to the counter and I was like, "Can I ask a question?" And she said, "Sure." I said, "If I didn't have the $45 to pay for this visit today, would I've not been seen?" And she said, "Yeah, pretty much." And I walked away, not mad at her. I wasn't upset with
Mm-hmm.
her. I just said, this system is so screwed up. People need help,
Yes.
and they get turned away because they can't pay a $45 co-payment. So I want to create an establishment where it's a resource center where people can come for groups. People can come and sit down and
Yes.
have coffee and just release. And I want this, my vision is to have this room, and the room is going to be called a safe room, and it's gonna
Yes.
be like a bank door where you have to, it
I
looks
love
like
that.
a thing, and it's chairs and tables where when people just want to sit in smaller groups, they're welcome to go inside of
Yes.
the safe room and just sit. But we're gonna have therapeutic music, Bibles, so if they need to pick up a scripture, and just have volunteers who's been on this journey to sit with
Wow.
them and talk to them. So if you can in the UK over there, girl, do what you do, but I'm just looking for donations. I have people here in my community that's really pouring into me. But I really need a big space. I need a space with different rooms so that we can get this going. And I know once I get it going, like they're gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
um I just think this is good. I think that
Yes.
God is doing this intentionally because this is the one way we get people back to him. If their mind is clear of ruckus and they're spiritually aligned with his word and what he wants for us, we're bringing more people back to him. And that
Yes.
overall, he's pleased with that. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
really admire what you're doing over there, and know that here in the US, I'm going to promote you. I don't know many people in the UK. Maybe I have a chance to come over there and visit, and we can
Yes. Come on over.
do
Come
something
on
together.
over.
I
It's,
would, look, I
it
would.
truly, it's truly amazing because God's connected me with people there are times, I'm gonna just remove the vulnerability cap for a second, but there are times I'm like, Lord, can you let the overflow come? I'm a student, or can you just can you just let it come? But when you align yourself to your purpose, if
Mhm.
I could tell anyone this, it's taken care of.
Mhm.
It is taken care of. And I say that to say, because I'm connecting with people just like yourself as you're talking about the plans that you have, right? And needing the funding and needing this. I sit with you and I look and I say, well, God, how can I make this possible? When I created the app, and this is a place of vulnerability, I did not have the amount to start it. And I kept hearing God say, you still need to create this app. You still need to create this app. So
Is
then
creating the app really hard? Is it really expensive?
it, that's the thing. So as much as I thought it was truly going to be this an expense, right? And I just kept hearing God say, have you looked into it to the point where I can deliver it? Have you looked into it to a point where I can deliver it? And I was saying, okay, because I don't have it, right? But let me tell you, I was scrolling through Facebook one day and the service popped up and it was less than $100.
Mm.
And I said, oh, this is interesting. Let me see ABCD. And I logged into it, just tried it out for a little while, and I came out. I said, no, if it's this amount, it's not going to be a very good service and so forth, right? But every day it kept coming back to me. And I
Mm.
said, okay, Lord, I'm going to take this last bit amount. In October, I took my last that I had and I put it down on this app. And by the end of November, the app was published on Google, right? Of course, I had to put in the work to make it, but the service and what they delivered for that amount, that was all God. Because the prices that I've seen now for the services, and the services going up, right? The amount is going up some. Um, it's truly good how it's happened, for me. And I say that to say, because a lot of us are looking, and it's amazing because we teach
Mm.
our clients, don't look at the bigger picture, break it down into small. This is when we're getting into that coaching, right? Break
Mm.
it down into smaller pieces, set the goals as a small goal. We know that you're trying to accomplish that big goal, but what can you do today? Each step is going to be an amazing step.
Mm.
Sometimes we have to coach ourselves.
Oh,
Sometimes we have to talk to ourselves, right? And that was one of those moments for me where I was truly like, well, what do you want me to do next? Because I don't know what's happening, what's going on here. And God said, no, I want you to break it down into small steps. This is what I want you to do. Why are you looking at the bigger picture? And I still, to today, go back to these are my smallest steps, and I am accomplishing. I see that progress, I see that movement, you know, but it's in the knowing. And that's where we talked about earlier. We have such a peace now that we don't know what to do with it because it's overflowing. It's so honestly, there's a place now in my life where even when the hurdles are coming, I'm like, oh, okay. I know it's going to be taken care of.
with
I know
me,
it's,
with me in spirit, like I feel like that, but
mhm.
it
The
keeps
mind.
going.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
Crazy that you talk about that because that's been my struggle.
Hmm.
Um, God has reminded me that Holy Healing Chronicle, Healing the Holy Heart, my book, even this platform, the Holy Healing Talk, this is
Hmm.
not mine. This is
Yes.
his. He's
Mm-hmm.
just using me as a vessel to do it because this was my purpose. This is my purpose. He's made me uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, because I would have never done this. In my past life,
Yes.
you would have never seen me on the camera. You would have never seen me trying to talk to people and keep them encouraged. I do that behind doors, not this way.
Yes. Yes.
But he said,
Yes.
nope, I'm bringing you here. But I've been struggling. That's been my overthinking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
God,
Mm-hmm.
it's coming to the end of the year. I'm funding this thing out of pocket from my other businesses. How do I keep this up financially? And he's like, what you said, you thinking about tomorrow and next week. Just be
Mm-hmm.
in this moment right here.
Yes.
And I'm going to work it out. You got to believe me. And I'm like, God, my spirit, my soul believe you, but I can't turn this off. So this week was the week of turning it off. I've actually been on my anxiety medication for like a week. I feel a little different, not mentally,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm calm. I've cut off some things temporarily, just so like things that I would do. Like I talk to my best friend every single day. I talk to my branding crew every day. I said, y'all, I need 7 days. Give
Yeah.
me a week for me. I need this
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
calm my mind. I need this week to not think about y'all or what I got to
Yes.
do. I need this week just to sit in me and learn
Mm-hmm.
and calm
Mm-hmm.
me down.
Yes.
You know what? Starting it created a little anxiety because that was routine for me.
Yes.
But it's been some days, and I'm like, okay, I'm by myself. I can do this
Yes.
by myself. I don't have to call them to, nope, I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to sit.
Mm-hmm.
Today was a day. I got up. I said, let me get up, put on some clothes. I got to get myself together
Yes.
because I found myself, am I laying in depression or am I really relaxing? I was laying
Listen.
in bed like, am I? But then when I look around, I got a pile of clothes over there. I got food and drinks on my nightstand. I said, this is what depression looked like. I'm not depressed. Let me get up. That felt really nice. And
Telling
that's
you,
why I go back.
it truly, it truly is a place when you can look and find yourself in that depression, right? Where you know it, where you're recognizing it and you're saying, hold on, for me, it's a room. For me, it's my bedroom, right?
Mhm.
When my bedroom starts going awry, I say, oh, hold on, something's not
Right.
going right. And I know by the time it hits the living room, I'm like, oh no, it's done now. But because I've let it go
Yeah.
to that particular place where it's like, if you don't get control of it now, what's going to happen, right? But women who are listening, I want you to understand that recognition takes time, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but just that small step in saying, hold on, I realize that something's not happening, something's not going right in my space. If you find that you're a person who always cleans and you're always having things together, and all of a sudden you find that, like you said, there's clothes in this little pile, or this room, your bathroom is starting to look a mess, you can begin to say, okay, hold on a minute, what's going on with me? It's those self-check-ins, right? I had a self-check-in the other day. My building, I stay in a flat, and they put up some scaffolding and told us they needed to do work on the building. What they didn't say is that they needed to, one, lock me in by, I'm unable to, I have these beautiful French doors that overlook a nice area. I'm unable to open up my French doors. They took the handle off. I'm on the 6th floor.
Wow.
They also put a shade on the outside of my building. I cried. I
Mm.
cried my eyes out. And I called my mom and I was like, I'm having a panic attack. I'm having this anxiety attack. What is happening with me? Right? Because I felt like the walls
Okay.
literally were closing in on me. Right? And I felt like taking me back to a place because I'm at a place, I'm finishing university. It's what's happening next, happening with my career. I going through all of these emotions of things that I cannot control, right? And so as you're speaking and as you're relaying it to me, I want you to know that you're speaking to me because I'm supposed to share my story as well. Because who do I speak it to? Who do I say it to? I'm not going to call someone and say, okay, well, this is what I'm going through. And I'm having these emotions. These are my thoughts, right? That I'm feeling like I'm being closed in and I'm not able to breathe, right? And I try to be like, okay, well, I can fix it. I can be in control of it. And this is the time God's saying, you can't control it.
Yeah.
They have to fix the building. There's
Mhm.
nothing that you can do. It's nothing you can do because you can't move right now because you're in contract. It's nothing you can do. So I need you to sit and I need you to be patient and I need you to just go through these small steps. What are you focusing on right now? What can you do? And I'll tell you what's happened with me. Once it started to happen over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I said, okay, Lord, you told me I'm supposed to go into helping women with domestic violence. I guess I'll just go and apply. I went and applied and I thought that I did not do good on this interview. I went,
You
the
got it.
interview was at 10 or 11. I got home at 3 o'clock and I was offered the position. Now,
Praise God.
amen, right? you know, But what I'm saying is, when you decide that you want to walk in your purpose, right? I'm not saying that everything is going to come easily for you because it certainly does not sometimes, right? And so, all of you women that are listening, that is not the message that we're trying to get across to you. But we go through some stuff too. And we're going through, you know, the struggle every single day and these emotions. But when you learn what coping mechanism, what is it that I can do to pull myself out of this? How can I remember that it's inside of me, that I have everything that I need to take the next step, right? And that's truly what I needed to do. I needed to identify, I needed to nourish myself, and I needed to nurture myself, right? And that's a part of my program that we have, the inner, because you need to be able to empower yourself all over again so that you can go through, right? And that's truly what I needed to do. And look, there I am. Going to be starting helping women with domestic violence, but also there's nothing I can do about these circumstances I'm in right now, but I can change the way that I look at it and I
Yeah.
can make a difference.
We're gonna have to bring this one to an end. I hate to end it like this. But if you all want to know what Coach La do, you can visit her platforms, which will be posted here. If you want to know more about Holy Healing Chronicles, you can visit our website at www.holyhealingchronicles.org. You can also subscribe, turn on your notifications, like, comment, and share, as we always have information to share with individuals who's interested. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Coach La will be gladly to answer, as well as I. It's Coach La and I are signing off. We want you all to stay jolly, stay happy, and stay safe. Until next time, this is your girl April with the Holy Healing